Cold calling versus door knocking expired. What's going on, everyone? Thank you so much for joining me on this live stream. If you are watching live, let me know where it is that you're tuning in from. Or if you're watching the replay, also let me know. Expired is a topic that I absolutely love to talk about. I have been going after expireds ever since I started in this business. So in this live stream, I'm going to take a deep dive into cold calling the expireds, door knocking the expireds, the pros, the cons, what you can expect, and hopefully by the end, you'll be more prepared to go after this lead source. So again, if you're tuning in, let me know where you're tuning in from. And if you're enjoying this live stream, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, subscribe to the channel, and also the like. So first, we'll get started. Why go after expired listings? So expireds are obviously properties that have come off the market unsold for one reason or another. And many times these homeowners still need to sell. So why should you go after expireds? So first of all, what I am seeing is that a lot of agents now are deciding to go after listings and work with sellers, especially after everything's been going on regarding the NAR lawsuit and how, buyers agents commissions might be a little questionable. So when it comes to expireds, one of the reasons that you want to go after this lead source is because these are homeowners that have already raised their hand, that wanted to sell. And not just that, but they have already pretty much said, hey, I am ready to hire an agent. So again, many times these homeowners come off the market unsold because it can be the last agent didn't do a good job. What I have seen also is that sometimes there have been tenants in properties. So it just makes it so much more difficult to show a property. Sometimes properties are overpriced, which agents, please make sure that when you are working with sellers, do your due diligence, do a comparative market analysis, and make sure that you do price a property correctly. And if you are working with a seller that's not really motivated or serious, also be conscious about, being able to turn away that potential client. I have done that many times when I know that I can't help a client because what they want in terms of the price and where the reality is just not on the same page, and they're also really not motivated. So those are just some of the factors. Sometimes also properties come off the market unsold because some life event happened and that homeowner now does not need to sell, or just, I don't know, something happened and the property came off the market. So whatever it is, expireds are a great opportunity for you to get listings. So if you're thinking right now, well, where do I get expireds? Obviously, you guys know me. If you've been watching my channel, you know that I love to make calls. And if you are going to make calls, Vulcan 7 is a platform that I highly recommend. I have used a lot of different platforms in the past. I have used very cheap platforms, and I have used also platforms just like Vulcan 7 that are a little bit higher on price. But the reason that I have always stuck to this platform is because I'm all about accuracy. If I can get a list of phone numbers, I want to make sure that I'm dialing the correct number of the homeowner, and whoever I dial is going to pick up. So out of all of the platforms that I have used, Vulcan 7 has given me the most accurate information. So that is why I always talk about it, and I highly recommend it. So if you guys are interested in learning more about Vulcan 7, make sure to reach out to them and let them know that you heard this. You heard them from this video, and find out if they have any promotions or anything happening right now. One of the cool things that Vulcan 7 also does is that they have what is called a 30-day challenge, which I'm going to pop up here. So if maybe right now you're in the process of looking for lead sources because you want to get sellers and you want to get seller leads, they have what is called a 30-day challenge. So they are so confident in their data and accuracy that if you sign up, if you don't get a listing within your first month, they'll give you the next month on them. So again, this is a 30-day challenge. If you guys are interested, reach out to them, let them know I sent you, and find out a little bit more. So with expires, obviously you can get them through a lead source that gives them to you, which I think this is the more efficient and effective use of your time. But another way that you can get these expired is by going manually to your MLS. And you can do this every morning. I would recommend doing it in the morning. And just seeing what has come off the market. Now, a little bit further down in this live stream, I'm going to go a little bit deeper into reaching out through cold calls and door knocks, but these are pretty much the two main ways. There's a lot of services out there that give you expired data, so that would be one. And the next one would be you manually going to the MLS and getting the information yourself, which is a little bit more time consuming, especially if you are trying to pull the phone numbers and the data. It might take hours, and then you're not really guaranteed to know if that information is accurate. So if you've been watching me, if you've been watching my videos and have tuned into my channel, hopefully you know by now that I want you to succeed and I want you to be efficient with your time. You pulling numbers manually is not being efficient. You hand dialing is also not being efficient. So if you are in a position where you can invest in a service that gives you this information, it'll just make your life so much easier. That way you're not just wasting time trying to gather information, but you're actually contacting expireds and setting appointments, which is a whole goal. You know, there's some of these sellers that still need to sell. And I know someone here is probably watching and you're like, you know what, Lloyd, I've never called. What if they yell at me? I'm not so confident. I don't know about objection handlers. And there's so many agents that are much better than me. The reality is that all of that might happen. And there's probably agents that are better than you. But until you do it, you'll never know. And the way that my mind works is that I just need to get to that homeowner that needs my help. That's my mentality. I don't care if I get someone that's rude or yells at me. Okay, fine. I'll go on to the next one. I'm not going to let it bother me. So you can't take this personal. You just have to know that someone out there needs your help, because someone, I guarantee you, you might make calls, and hopefully after this live stream and this video that you're watching, you get on the phones. If you have access to expireds, you make these calls because someone out there needs your help. They came off the market, but they still desperately need to sell. And you might be that agent that sets the appointment and helps them out. Just before this live stream, I was on a call with an agent that is trying to transition from going from a buyer's agent to a listing agent. And we were talking about pre-qualifying. That is something that you need to be very good at, especially with expireds, because you need to know what their motivation is, where they're looking to go to, and what their time frame is. Some of them might tell you, you know what, we're just gonna rent out the property. Or, you know what, give me a call in about a month. So whatever it is that they tell you, you need to be prepared to handle whatever they tell you and how to respond. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that and objection handlers later on in this live stream. But again, you just always want to be prepared, be able to know where to get them. So let's talk about door knocking expireds, right? So door knocking is something that I did my entire first year in the real estate business. I remember even before I got into real estate, hearing about realtors door knocking and cold calling. And this is even before I even considered being an agent. I would think to myself, man, I am never going to call. I am never going to knock. That is so embarrassing. What if someone slams the door in your face? What if people hang up? What if you mess up? So the fact that that's what I did and that's what I got very good at, it's pretty funny, but I'm also proud of myself because I did something that was completely outside of my comfort zone. And let me tell you, if you go and door knock expireds, your experience is going to be very different than if you call them. So when it comes to door knocking, this is the process of what I would do. I would take a look on the MLS. So this is the time where I would look at the MLS. One of the reasons that I would look on the MLS for the expireds is because I would pick maybe 10 or 20 homes that recently expired near me. And I would see first if they are owner occupied. So that's the reason that I'm going to the MLS, to see if they're owner occupied. Because you'll notice that there will be properties that come off the market unsold that were investment properties with tenants in there. So I want to be able to knock on someone's door where they're actually the homeowner. So I do a little bit more research and homework when it comes to door knocking the expireds, but that's what I do. Wherever I live, every day, take a look to see if there's any new expireds and door knock them. Now, when I'm talking about the experience that you're going to have is completely different than on the phones, is that a lot of agents are not door knocking expireds. A lot of agents are calling the expireds. So that's why if you're calling them, sometimes they might sound upset and they might be like, you know, you're the 50th or 100th agent that's calling me. But you know what? Not many agents are door knocking. So let's say you decide to go and door knock. I highly recommend that as you're showing up, make sure that you have a smile on your face, or at least look friendly. You know, you don't want to look pissed off or like mean. You also want to make sure that your body language doesn't come off as being almost like aggressive. So what I like to do is that I would knock on the door and step back a couple feet, and instead of looking straight forward at the door, I'm almost angled, right? Angled like this. So it almost looks like I'm ready to just leave. And I knock on the door, and the script would be very similar to what you would say over the phone. You know, hey, Mr. Hey, you're the homeowner. Yes. You know, I was quickly stopping by. I noticed that you guys just came off the market and sold. Wanted to see what your plans are for going back on the market. And then just start a conversation. Because you know what? It's less likely for them to slap or slam the door in your face or hang up the phone, because now you're face to face. And if you are smiling or if you look friendly, the chances of them sharing with you what happened are going to be very high. They might be like, you know what, I'm getting so many calls this morning. And then they're just going to start venting to you. What I have realized is that when someone starts venting to me, it's probably because they're really upset that they didn't sell. If you have had the same experience, let me know. Let me know in the comments. So sometimes it's annoying if someone's just cussing me off. I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to leave or hang up, whatever. But when someone starts telling me, yeah, you know, the last agent didn't communicate, we needed to be out in Florida by this time. Now I know, you know, this person not selling really affected their plans. So I like to ask also a lot of open-ended questions. And you'll be surprised at the doors, you got to be ready, because you never know when that homeowner might say, you know what, can you just come in, let me know what you think the home is worth and if you think you can sell it. Because there's agents out there that I have heard, they knock on the door, they have contracts, blank contracts in the car, and they get that listing on the spot. A great day to go after expired is always the first of every month. The first of every month is huge, especially the 1st of January and usually the 1st of June. But every first of the month is hit with sometimes even hundreds of expireds. So again, these are great days for you to go after them. And at the doors, you're going to have a much better response from people. It's very rare that they slam the door in your face. They're usually open. They'll talk to you. Completely different demeanor than over the phone. So I know there's probably a lot of ladies that are watching this that are like, well, Loida, you know, some places are dangerous, or I don't want to go by myself, or even gentlemen, you know, right now it's crazy in different places. So when it comes to door knocking, obviously do your homework and know when and where it's safe and not safe to go. I would highly recommend for you to also go with somebody else if you can, maybe like another agent. That way is at least 2 of you. If you are going by yourself, make sure you let someone know where it is that you are going to be knocking and how long you're going to be there. I like to make sure that I always carry pepper spray. That's me. I personally, as a woman, also years ago, I started taking self-defense and boxing classes. So I can defend myself. I know how to box, you know, a little jab and here and there. So I personally like to always be prepared. I never assume, you know, that something bad's going to happen. But of course, you know, if something looks sketchy, obviously I would leave. If I can get someone to go with me, even better. But door knocking does work. I just want you to know that. Door knocking does work. Not a lot of agents are doing it. When you go to higher priced properties, maybe luxury properties, so whatever luxury is in your market, the competition is even less. I have door knocked luxury properties that have expired, and usually the homeowners are there because many times they are also business owners, and they also appreciate the fact that someone came to their door. You'll be surprised. You'll come across people that are like, you know what? Props to you for knocking on my door. Like, I respect the hustle. You guys are out here. You're out here knocking on my door. Yeah, you know, I'm looking to do this, this, and this. So again, you never know. Now, let's say you knock on an expired store and they're not there. You still want to leverage your time being there. So I recommend for you to at least door knock a couple doors around that house, maybe like 2 or 3 to the left, 2 or 3 to the right, maybe across the street. And what you want to do is that what I have said is, I came to visit your neighbor. They had their home for sale. Do you happen to know, anything about that? Because sometimes the neighbors know all about what's happening in the neighborhood, and they'll tell you, oh yeah, they were getting divorced and I don't know what happened. Or they'll tell you, yeah, they're usually here after 5. So then now I know, okay, if I come back after 5, they're going to be here. So at the same time, as I'm knocking the neighbors, I ask them, do you guys have any plans on making a move? So I'm not just there to find out about the expired, but I also want to get them as a contact, because maybe they might like me. Maybe we had a good conversation. Maybe they don't know any agents, or they tell me, what, we've actually been thinking about buying or selling or whatever. And now it's like, I got a lead because I came to visit an expired. So again, don't just go to the expired, make some use of your time and door knock around there. Like I said a couple of minutes ago, the time that I do my research on the MLS when it comes to door knocking is just to make sure that it's a homeowner that lives there and it was not a tenant. Let's say for some reason it is a tenant that lives in the house. This has also happened. I try to find out if they have communicated with the owner, or if they can give me the phone number of the owner. And while I'm there, I ask them, have you guys thought about possibly buying a home? Because sometimes they might be like, yeah, what, we don't want to rent anymore. The landlord here sucks. So, but we think that interest rates are too high. So now I just go into the mode of, okay, let me treat them as a potential buyer and just start asking for qualifying buying questions. So you never know what lead you're going to get. So I always think of how many different possibilities of different type of leads or clients can I get by just going to one place. So again, when it comes to door knocking, you want to leverage your time being there. So knock on the expired and then knock around the neighborhood. The only times that I wouldn't knock around would be like, let's say January 1st, when I know that there's like hundreds of expireds that I just want to go on to the next one. So those are my tips when it comes to door knocking expireds for now. Now, when it comes to cold calling expireds, obviously, when you're making calls, there's going to be a lot more agents calling. So the likelihood of someone hanging up, they're not looking at you in your face. So the moment they might hear that you're an agent, they're just going to hang up. Now, the cool thing about calling, though, is that you might be able to have more conversations in an hour versus the doors. So when I was calling, when I made my transition from, just hitting the doors to now, I want to incorporate making calls, I was making around 8 to 10 contacts an hour, making these phone calls. And I had a service and I had a dialer. If I was hand dialing, I have no idea how long that would take. And if I had to scrub the numbers myself, I would probably make only like 5 calls a day. So again, you want to be efficient with your time. So have a dialer. So when you're making calls, you're able to talk to more people in an hour versus at the doors. If you go and door knock, you're guaranteed, that someone's going to open the door. You also don't know how far apart the homes are. I know some of you guys live in some places where it feels like you're walking a mile to the next place, or you might be in an area where there's homes like literally one next to another. So you might get more contacts that way. So yeah, when you're making calls, you have to be very sharp on the phone. So if you are an agent that you're like, what, I still need to work on my skills, I would probably even recommend try hitting the doors, because you're less likely to get the door slammed in your face and people might have a conversation with you versus on the phone. So on the phone, you really have a couple seconds to make that impression for people to want to hear you or just hang up. So people can be a little bit more aggressive on the phone in terms of, potential expireds that pick up, because they're like, oh, you're the 50th agent that's calling me. Like, what are you going to do different? Where were you when the house was on the market? Why are you calling me now? So their tone of voice is very like direct, a lot of drivers, and you have to be able to mirror and match them with their energy. So however they respond, that's exactly how I respond. That's how I personally have been able to break through a lot of these very rude, expired people over the phone that just start cussing. Maybe they, not only are they rude, but they're very nasty. And I'm able to have a conversation with them that leads to an appointment. because I'm able to meet them at their level. If you guys don't know about the different personalities, which hopefully you do because we've done some videos on this channel regarding the personalities, but make sure that you know the driver, the analytical, the expressive, and the amiable, because those are the kinds of people that you're going to get no matter what type of lead sources you go after. So you need to be able to identify who it is that you're talking to in person and over the phone so that you can effectively communicate with them to get through to them to hopefully set an appointment. If all of this is making sense, if you're finding this helpful, again, let me know in the comments. Drop me a yes. Let me know what you're taking away so far from this live stream. Like I mentioned in the beginning, I love expired. I see, you know, a lot of you are here. I see, I'm going to go and read through some of the comments that you guys are leaving. I want to pull this one up. Edwin says, Jehovah Witness usually get torn close quickly after. So I'm glad that, you know, this was brought up by Edwin. One of the things that I would do when I would door knock, and this is how I was taught, is that I made sure to wear clothes that was not like plain. So as a woman, I would wear like flowery shirts so that people would be like, okay, well, this is not like a religious person knocking or something, you know? So you just want to be able to separate yourself so that people don't automatically assume that you are like somebody else. So that's just one of my quick tips that I want to bring up for that. But yeah, I see a lot of you dropping me comments, so I really appreciate you listening and tuning in. And like I said, you know, I love expireds. A lot of agents don't like going after expireds, but me personally, I remember when I got into the business, initially I thought that I was going to be working with buyers and be a buyer's agent. Then I saw listing agents just, you know, handle sellers and be like, you know, able to have control of their time. I'm like, you know, I can do that. But I knew that it required more skills. A lot of you are probably scared to go after expires because you think that they're hard, but they're not hard. You just need to level up on your skills. And if you take the time to invest in getting better with your objection handling, with your communication, with your assertiveness, because you have to be very assertive. Some of these people, if you come across weak, they're gonna be like, I don't have time for you. But if you come across like you are the best agent out there, even if you have never really helped expires, you're gonna know, you know what, Loida, I don't know what it is about her, but I think she can get it done. And that's exactly how things happen for me. So please keep that in mind. Expireds, they might be a little difficult, but if you really want to transition and go after sellers, go after the seller leads that are already telling you that they need to sell. You know, there's no point in reinventing the wheel. There's the for sale by owners, which I'm not going to talk about in this live stream. And there's the expireds. For sale by owners are a little bit tougher. The expireds are already telling you, hey, I want to sell. This other person, this other agent didn't get the job done, but I still need to get the job done. And one of the things that I love to tell expires when they say, you know, the last person didn't sell my house, so what are you going to do differently? One of the things, I'm not going to give you all my objection handlers, but one of the things that I say is, you know what, because they didn't sell your house, now I have to work even harder to prove to you that I'm not the same. And then at that point, they know that that's facts, you know, that's 100% true. I have to work harder so that they don't categorize me as the same agent that didn't sell the house previously. For any questions you guys have, go ahead and put them in the comments. I'm going to go ahead and read them. I know that there's a lot of you that have tuned in, and I really appreciate it. Let's see. Someone, Jeannie, asked, what video do you have to regarding the different personalities? Just go on my YouTube channel and just type 4 different personalities. You'll probably see an entire playlist about that. She also asked, should I wear my shirt blouse that indicates my real estate agency to identify myself? You can. I know some agents do. I never did, because you know those people that look outside the window, if they see real estate, they're like, oh, no, I don't want to talk to an agent. So I want to eliminate that. So I would just wear, you know, like a regular, I would be dressed nice, like business casual. Make sure that you have comfortable shoes. So I would not be wearing heels. I had on like, you know, maybe slacks and a blouse, but I had like, you know, very soft, comfortable shoes. But yeah, you could try it out. I know some agents door knock with their name tag that has their name and their real estate company. But again, really depends. Some people might look out the window and be like, oh, realtor, I don't want to open the door. So play around with it. You might get different results. Um, let's see, people treat you different when you wear blue. This guy told me because it's a trusting color. I have heard that. So again, there's so many possibilities. You can't go wrong. I would recommend for you guys to try things out, see what works, see what doesn't. Because at the end of the day, you're never going to run out of doors. There's plenty of doors out there for you to hit. So just try it out. The whole point of this live stream is to encourage you to hit the doors, call expireds, because there's a lot of business out there. And I know that there's a lot of agents that are probably struggling right now. I know a lot of you might be working with more buyers than you wish you were. You want to work more with sellers, and there's expireds. So go after this. I recently did a Dominate Prospecting Bootcamp. I know that there are some of you that participated in that bootcamp in this live stream, so I really appreciate that. And I think I saw Mike on here, Chicano too. So Mike reached out recently, and he said, you know what? So one thing that I love to do during my bootcamp was role playing. Because I think being hands-on and role-playing the actual scenarios you guys are encountering, you're able to see how I respond. So with him, we were role-playing almost every day, and he recently reached out and said, you know what, I was watching the role plays regarding this one scenario that we did. He ended up meeting with the seller regarding some pricing that he was getting objections on, and he ended up getting that listing. So that just got me really excited. So again, it's all about putting in the work, practicing role playing, and you're going to start getting results. So this Dominate Prospecting, I will be doing another one. So this is for those of you that are struggling with converting leads. Maybe you are getting leads, but you just don't know what to say. You're not qualifying them correctly. Maybe you think you have leads, but they're not going anywhere. Maybe you are lacking in the way that you pre-qualify. So I'm going to be doing another bootcamp July 15th through the 19th. So if you want more information, it's going to be dominateprospecting.com. 5 days, 1 hour each day. And I promise you, it's a lot of information jam-packed, but if you're there, you show up every day, it's going to be information that you're going to be able to implement and take with you and start getting and seeing results. So once again, this prospecting bootcamp, I'm going to be doing it again in July. Very limited. I don't like to do big groups. I like to keep it small because then we can have one-on-one interactions. So if you're interested, there's going to be also a link in the description box below. I have it right now. Just join the wait list. And once I open that up, you guys can definitely tune in and register. Highly recommend it. Totally worth it. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comments. Also, this live stream, typically you see myself and Robert, but today is just me. I'm thinking about doing more live streams, maybe once every single week. Let me know if you would want to tune in, if you would want to see that. I would come on here. I'm thinking maybe even my next live stream would be talking about content creation, because even though I love to talk about calls and prospecting, I also have, grown this YouTube channel to over 93,000. So I love to talk about content and growing that. So if you would want to see that, leave me a comment. Let me know that you do want to see it. Maybe I will make that my next live stream, maybe next Monday. So those are just some thoughts that I wanted to throw out there. I'm going to go through and see any questions that you guys have. Oh, see right here. Let's see. Your boot camp lit a fire under me. There you go. Chicano too. So he's the one that I was just sharing with you right now. Got that listing. Super proud of him. So, with me, I hear it all the time. A lot of people love to watch my content because it's very easy to understand. And that's just how I am. I will teach you and share with you how I learn and what makes it easy. I'm not going to use big, huge, fancy words. I'm going to shoot it to you straight in a way that you're going to remember what to say. And hopefully a lot of you, especially if you're tuning in, every time that I do these, hopefully when you're prospecting, you feel that you have like a little Loida in your shoulder. It's like, oh, what would Loida do? It's almost like, what would Jesus do? But what would Loida do? We love Jesus, but when prospecting, it's like, what would Loida do and what would Loida say? And what Loida would say was probably try to go for the appointment. I know a lot of you probably think that you are lacking in, your ability to do things, but you can totally set more appointments and talk to more people. I'm going to go through the questions to see what you guys are asking. Let's see this one. Do some of your clients get carried away with putting money into their house and do too much, like paint jobs, countertops, light fixtures? When it comes to any potential sellers that tell me, you know what, want to put in work into the property before we list it, um, obviously I'm going to do my homework to see what the comparables show in terms of what the price would be for the property as is. Also, I would see how many properties are currently active on the market and what has recently sold. But my general rule of thumb is that I like to tell them, you know what, let's make sure that we price the property correctly, maybe a little bit aggressively, maybe a little bit slightly below market value, just so that we can create a buzz, so that you don't have to spend, you know, tens of thousands of dollars renovating your house. Because let's say that the next person that comes in and buys your home doesn't like it, you know, they're going to tear it all apart. So the money that you spent was for nothing. So typically I like to go that route. But if like the condition of the home, like what's happened before is that I have had clients that had their house, the roofs were like orange and red, then I would say, yeah, you know what, paint it a neutral color, maybe like a white or beige, because that red or green is going to throw people off. So little things like that I would recommend. But if it's something that's very small cosmetic, I say let's just price the property correctly, so that they don't have to spend money. Because a lot of times these homeowners don't have a lot of money to be able to spend on renovations or fixtures and things like that. Another thing that I do recommend for my sellers to do is that get a home inspection even before we put the property on the market, especially if they want to sell the property as is, because that way we can see if there's any like red flags of things that are going on with the house that can easily be fixed. Maybe we can get a plumber or an electrician out or something like that. That way we're almost a step ahead, because obviously when we accept an offer, a buyer's going to bring their home inspector and do their due diligence, but we can already ahead of time let the buyer know, hey, the seller has already done these repairs, we're selling the property as is. Here's a copy of the previous inspection report. Obviously, you guys can still do your own home inspection, but the seller's not going to be doing anything else. So now, you know, it almost weeds out people that might not be interested. So that's another thing that you might want to consider, especially if you're working with sellers. I just have gotten to the point that I like to be a step ahead of everything. And if there's things that I can avoid, then I'm going to do that. The reason that I always recommend these home inspections to the sellers is because the last thing that I want happening is that the house looks perfect, you know, when you see it, but then when the buyer does their home inspection and then we get a 40-page report with like an entire page of like 20 requests for repairs, then for some reason the seller thinks, oh, well, you know, Loida, you said my house was going to be blah, 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 blah. So then they think that I'm the bad guy, and I'm not the bad guy. I'm just relaying the information. So if beforehand we can avoid that, it just makes everything so much better for everyone. What improvements can a seller make to the house? So obviously what I just mentioned, like the painting would be something good to consider. Again, depending on what it is, maybe the landscaping. I would highly recommend to at least get the plumbing looked at if there's anything that's dripping, and any of the major things. You just want to know what the condition they're in are, because if the AC, the electrical, the water heater are at the end of their life, when the buyer does their inspection, they might want that repaired or serviced or some type of credit. So you just, again, want to be ahead. How consistent do you need to be in door knocking before seeing progress? I think it's just picking whatever your schedule might permit. Let's say you consistently do 3 days a week. You know, when I'm saying door knocking, I'm not saying go every single day, because you might not want to do that, but maybe every afternoon or maybe every day you go 3 days a week. It really depends. If you go after expired, you might set an appointment that day or maybe in a couple of days. When you are door knocking, let's say you're just door knocking a neighborhood, you might just get people that you add to your database. Maybe they're not looking to do something just yet, but maybe they'll tell you, you know what, my cousin is thinking about buying, but I'm not sure where they're at in the process. So now you collect information. So the benefit of door knocking, not just the expired, but then now the neighborhoods, is that people start to know you. And the more that you do it consistently, people will recognize you, especially if you're doing it where you live. You might be at a supermarket or at a Starbucks and people will be like, hey, you're the real estate agent that door knocks, right? Yes. I remember that would happen to me. I remember I went to a Starbucks and then the barista guy was like, hey, you're Loida, right? And I'm like, yes, that's funny. So it's putting yourself out there, collecting information, and being, again, just putting yourself out there to potentially get these clients. Let me see what other questions you guys have. Go ahead and put them in the comments about anything. But yeah, like I said, when it comes to the doors, it's very effective, but you might not make as many contacts in an hour versus making calls. If you have a 3-line dialer, and actually I'm going to talk a little bit about the 3-line dialer, because I know that that's something that maybe some of you do. I have done it in the past where I have used a 3-line dialer. I think now what we are seeing is that sometimes agents are getting labeled as spam. So that might be a drawback. So if you use a 1-line dialer, it's less likely to happen for you to get labeled as spam. But if you're using a 3-line, maybe over time that's going to happen. And again, when you are getting data for expired information, I know sometimes you might think, I'm saving a couple bucks going the cheaper route, but it might not be the most accurate information. So then over time, if you're getting fax machines or bad numbers, that you're not really getting anywhere. So it's all about being efficient and effective with everything that you do. Janet said yes on the content creation live stream. Yes, so that is something. Be on the lookout. Probably going to happen next Monday. I'm going to lay out pretty much everything from like equipment to content ideas and pretty much how I have grown this channel. I'll just share that with you guys here. Because I think it's really helpful. A lot of you are also not doing content and not doing video, and video can really take you to the next level. Something that I will recommend also for these expireds, and this is more when you have someone's cell phone, and this ties into content and video. So what I like to do is that if I have a good conversation with an expired, whether it's on the phone or at the doors, but I have their cell phone, later that day, I'll shoot them a video message and I'll say, hey, John, this is Loida the Realtor. Stopped by earlier. Thank you so much for your time in chatting with me. I'm here to help you once you're ready. That is going to help them remember you. If you're making calls, if you have a good conversation with an expired, maybe you didn't send an appointment, but you had a good conversation, send a video message. Especially if I know I have their cell phone and they're an iPhone, I know that my video is going to come out in good quality. If they have an Android, I'm not sure how that's going to work, but always send a video. I have gotten listings that way. I remember one time I was calling an expired and he said, you know what, Loida, call me in 2 months because I don't know if I'm going to sell. I'm thinking about it. And I tried to set the appointment. He wouldn't give it to me. So I said, okay, you know what, I'll definitely be reaching back out. So what I did immediately was that I sent him a video message introducing myself, so you can put a face to the name, Mr. Expired, and no one else had sent him a video message. And then texting me back saying, you know what, I'm actually out of town, but I do want to sell this and put it back on the market, so call me next Monday. Called him next Monday. He didn't answer, but I left him a message and I said, hey, Mr. Expired, this is Loida the Realtor giving you a call today like you told me to. You're probably busy. Give me a call back whenever you have a chance. He called me back. I ended up setting a listing appointment. It was all through the phone. He was ready to go. He saw how pretty much I was standing out and doing things that other agents weren't. Long story short, ended up getting that listing, sending him the contract through DocuSign. And what got me that listing was me standing out through that video message. So if you're not sending video messages to your potential leads, start doing it. It's definitely going to help you. They're going to remember you, and now you're not just another agent that's calling. Now you're, oh, this is Loida. I can put a face to the name. Let's see. Do you have a video on what the closing process is like? I don't have a video on what the closing process is like. I think it might be different in different states. So like out here in Florida, I know that they have like um, the mobile notary and the closing and title and all this other stuff. In California, it might be different. So I don't know, Daniela, where you're at, but the closing process, if anything, I would just say, you know, typically the buyer does their final walkthrough, makes sure that any requests for repairs were done. And if they weren't, obviously it gets brought up to the listing agent. And then from there, it's just the title or the escrow company making sure that they have all of their numbers and figures figured out, and that also there's a loan involved, that the lender has everything that they need so that they can close on time. So that's what I would recommend for that. Let's see this one. Gino asks, was it hard transitioning? Was it a hard transition moving from Cali to Florida? You know what, Gino? The only hard transition was the weather because it's very humid and hot out here. But aside from that, you know, I get this question because a lot of agents have been transitioning and moving to other states. So I get the question of, you know, what did you do when it comes to leads and business and all of that? The great thing is that my skills, the skills that I learned in California, I can implement them no matter where it is that I'm at. So for me, it was not hard picking up the phone and calling expireds or for sale by owners. If anything, I see a lot more for sale by owners here. So even just calling them off the sign or calling or knocking on the door, I mean, it hasn't been as difficult as I thought. And obviously I have my service that I could just pick up the phone and make calls. What I have seen out here in Florida, and maybe if there's any Florida agents that are on this thing, on my live stream, you know, in Florida, for some reason, a lot of agents just don't pick up the phone, they don't answer, or they'll answer like 2-3 weeks later. So if you are an agent that actually puts in work and does the job, you'll probably succeed here. I don't know why. There's agents that are lazy here. People show up late, but I think that's just in general. We see realtors are never really on time, but I hear they're extra late. So yeah, that's what I have seen. Did you gain leads as a new agent hosting open houses? So when it comes to open houses, yes, you know, I know a lot of agents that do open houses. I know an agent, he's out in Maryland, I believe, Maryland, Virginia, and he was doing real estate part-time. He was in my new agent boot camp, I want to say in 2021. And all he did every single weekend, he was doing open houses. He had a full-time job, I think in IT, working real estate on the weekends, every single weekend doing open houses. And it got to the point that he was able to leave his full-time job. Now he does real estate full-time. And I think recently he was named, you know, Maryland's top 30 or the NAR Association top 30 to 30, because it feels like I see this guy posting he sells a home almost every single day. So you can definitely get leads and you can definitely succeed. But again, you have to be relentless and very disciplined. If there are no other questions in regards to cold calling and door knocking, I'm probably going to wrap this up. I really enjoyed this. You know, you guys came in with a lot of different stuff. And like I said, I am thinking about doing more live streams once a week where you guys can just come in, ask a question. Let's see this. I think the trick is on your shirt. Work hard. That's it. So work hard, be kind. This is actually, you know, something that Real Broker, our logo, our slogan. So I am part of Real Broker. I used to be with another cloud-based brokerage, which you guys probably know which one that was, but I've been at Real for almost 2 years, and it has been a great experience. It's been great collaborating with other agents. Obviously, we're a nationwide company. So if any of you that are watching this, I'm like, you know what, I've heard about Real and I want to know more, just reach out to me, shoot me a DM. But yeah, I'm all about working hard, being kind. That's why I'm here, dropping some knowledge. And hopefully you guys have found this helpful. If you did, let me know. Drop me a comment. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel. You know, right now we're at like 93,000. We want to continue growing. I've been consistent, and that's probably what I'm going to talk about also when I do this live stream about content, just being consistent, because I have been doing this since 2015. If you haven't called expires for sale by owners, go back. I encourage you to go back to my previous videos way in the beginning so that you can see how Loida started. And Loida was really bad, really whack, and sounded horrible. And here I am now. So again, consistency, perseverance, and just, sticking through it, you're going to get results. So with that being said, thank you once again for joining this live. I really appreciate each and every single one of you. Stay tuned for the next one that I will do probably next week. And yeah, have a great day. Bye.